Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of Youth Talk. In today's electoral campaigns, engaging youth voters is crucial. The High Council of Youth plays a pivotal role in this. It advises on policies and strategies that resonate with the youth, using platforms like social media and events to amplify their voices. Today we'll be talking everything the High Council of Youth and youth voters with our guests. I would like to welcome Ms. Emily Labute. She's a member of the council, and I think she can explain everything voting and everything the High Council of Youth to us today.
Thank you, Sarah, for having me today, speak for the Higher Council for Youth and also for the Algerian youth that we represent at the Higher Council for Youth. I think it's very crucial to include youth in any voting event because today we talk a lot about having youth participate in decision making, and this is top tier decision making engagement. If you as youth you are present to vote and to make your voice heard, it says a lot about how conscious you are and how much you are willing to participate in developing the country and in sustaining this development that exists today.
Well, first of all, thank you for accepting our invitation. I think you'd make the perfect guest for this topic. I'd like first to start talking about the primary goals that the High Council of Youth has set for this electoral period.
Well, as many of you know, the Higher Council for Youth, being an advisory body for the President of the Republic, it works a lot on youth-related matters, not solely in politics, but also in civic engagement, in having this youth develop their skills and competences, etc. But when it comes to this specific period that plays a crucial role in the country's future and present, for that matter, we work a lot with youth to raise awareness with them, to have them participate in elections, be it presidential elections or any other elections, because as I said earlier, it's very important to have youth vote and be present in the voting process. We had a lot of initiatives, a lot of talks with youth pre-elections a long time ago. Since 2 years since we started, we talked a lot with youth and had them also tell us how interested they are and how willing they are to participate in the voting process. And all youth needed was actually a bit of information and a bit of simplicity in the bureaucracy of the system that would help them be active voters present in the electoral process.
Exactly. Speaking of the accomplishment that the Council have made in these past 2 years, recently was celebrated 2 years of its existence. Can you talk to us about some of the accomplishments that you'd like to highlight?
I think it takes a lot of memory to remember the amount of things that we did, but what marks me most as a member of the Higher Council for Youth is, first of all, the network that we formed with youth and the human connections that we formed together, because the Higher Council for Youth has opened its doors for youth since the very first day it got inaugurated by the President of the Republic, which shows a lot, again, and it's not just pep talk to show that we support said person, but it shows a lot about the willingness of this country to include youth and to have them present. And this confidence that was put in youth, I think we showed that we deserve this confidence because we opened our doors to youth since the very first day. As I said, we included youth in entrepreneurship, in educational programs. We have youth more implemented in the society. They participate to create their own initiatives now, because when we started, we were the ones doing the initiatives, but now the Higher Council for Youth is just here to put a strategy to help youth, and then youth are doing their own things. We worked a lot on voicing youth's voices, so anytime youth need a certain problem, the Higher Council for Youth is always here to take said problem, develop strategies to find solutions for it, and then send them to the President of the Republic. We did a lot of national and local initiatives with youth in the very small states in all of Algeria. We moved even to the Sahara to listen to youth and to their preoccupations. We, as I said, developed competence. We moved to an international level. We went to the diaspora and worked with them. Since we already have members that represent the diaspora who are there present, but the Higher Council for Youth also went to them and listened to them. So I think it's very hard to talk about all of the things that were done, but I think that if today we can stand here and say that we managed to have the trust of a lot of youth who are pivoting around the Higher Council for Youth, who believe that the Higher Council for Youth is theirs, and who feel belonging to the Higher Council for Youth. It just says a lot about the things that were done.
You really did, and I think that's why the youth is holding on to the High Council of Youth, because you've opened spaces for them that weren't there before. I think they had many ideas about events, about activities that they can do, but they didn't have the assistant to actually make these activities a reality, and that's what the council did.
You summed up very well what I wanted to say. I mean, I did not come from the system itself. You know, I was just a young Algerian female who came from a very small village in Constantine, who had high hopes to do a lot for the country. And I used to participate in a lot of international events, and it used to ache me a lot to not be able to do this in my own country. Yeah. And today we all have the chance to do it, members of the council and also all youth. We hear their voices and we're always there. And I mean, every time a young person has an idea, he has the assistance, and we talk a lot about financial assistance. Today we have a lot of financial assistance to assist this youth to be able to initiate their ideas. But beyond everything, the Higher Council for Youth's purpose is to give recommendations to the President of the Republic to improve the situation
about youth, yes.
that is to youth. And a lot of people talk about the Higher Council for Youth doing a lot of activities, but not understanding why the Higher Council for Youth is doing these activities, because we're not doing activities just to do them. It's not an association. We're doing these activities because we hold a lot of reflection groups, and from these reflection groups, from the specified themes, we take the recommendations and we work together in our committees in order to formulate recommendations to the President of the Republic that we send to the presidency. And again, we don't share a lot of these things, that the recommendations that we do, because they take a lot of time. It's not an easy task to formulate recommendations. We have a lot of experts working with us. We have a lot of youth elite.
And you have to start from the data that you collected from these events and then work from there.
Exactly. And this is not the sole purpose of the events, but one of the purposes, because we also want to provide a platform for you to develop their competencies and skills, because it's very crucial. The school is doing a lot for the hard skills, but the soft skills are the thing that we need as youth today in Algeria or in the world, because if you look in all countries, the market is based on soft skills rather than
degrees.
Exactly. Right. So this is what we're trying to do. So we're trying to balance between development of consciousness and raising awareness, development of soft skills, but also not neglecting our main role, which is to voice the recommendations that should, change the situation of this youth, not tomorrow, not after tomorrow, because it's something that takes a lot of effort, because you cannot just come and up, let's change all of the system. It takes a lot of work and a lot of effort. And a lot of youth now today know how multifaceted the system is and how long it takes. So it just needs a little bit of patience from this youth. I could come back also to something we did last year, which is something we're very proud of, which is the evaluation of the National Youth Plan. And the National Youth Plan is something that we did not know about as youth, which is everything that regulates our today's lives in Algeria as youth. And we did a lot of evaluation of this national plan, and now in 2024 the Higher Council for Youth will have the chance to actually participate in
included in it.
Yes.
Right.
And by saying that the council will participate in writing this national plan, it also says that all of the Algerian youth will be participated in writing this national plan, and I hope that everyone will still rotate around the council in order to participate in this, because it will be really a pivotal era in the youth's lives in Algeria.
It really is. It's really something to be proud of, that our youth is participating in such activities, such important activities that usually it would be just for state members. It's very good to see the change. I'd like to talk about the voter rates these past few years. We've noticed that the Algerian government is trying to encourage the youth to practice the right to vote, and I think the High Council of Youth has started to promote this.
Yeah, I think when we talk about voter turnout in Algeria, we have 70% of youth, and we talk a lot about this. And every time you tell people that we have 70% of youth, it directly rings a bell in their heads that this youth should be included in decision making, and this youth should participate in the development of the economy. And this is what we're trying to achieve as a Higher Council for Youth. We're trying to raise awareness for these youths. And to be honest, when we started working with youth, we created the Haya Shabab initiative, and we also had regional meetings with youth from different domains, university clubs, entrepreneurs, students, etc. The main problem was not awareness, because youth is aware of it.
Aware, yes.
Yeah. Youth are all aware of their role, and they all talk. When you go to Facebook or Instagram, everyone is talking about how important it is to vote, etc. But the problem was in, well, first, misinformation, because they did not have the right information on how to register in electoral forms in order to be able to vote, because they thought that they would have to go there.
Which is very easy, by the way.
Yeah, it's very easy. We showed them the process. You can do it at home, and a lot of youth registered. And there is also a problem, because I don't like to talk about things neglecting other things, because as youth we tend to be very vocal about the situation, and I would like to highlight the political apathy and how youth today and in the past lost confidence in the political systems, and this is what makes them believe that votes are not credible, and hence why should I register in the electoral,
if it's not gonna count.
Yeah, because it's not gonna count. But youth's voices count. Actually, all of the voices count, because today we are living in a new era, and there are a lot of systems that were established in order to ensure that there is transparency in the voting, and that all votes are counted, and you can see it now from everything that was installed, from the fact that youth already are representing in local assemblies, in the National Assembly. A lot of youth, we have more than 9,000 youth who are present in national and local assemblies, and it just says a lot about the things that change. So it would be great to see more youth vote, because it would say a lot about our consciousness, collective consciousness as Algerian youth, because I also talk about this. We are all aware, and there is a high level of awareness. You could see it, and it's beautiful. But I would also like to see this beauty be transmitted in actually, like, in reality, because had we, like, if we wake up the day of the presidentials and see a lot of youth going to vote, it's going to show a lot on the international scene also, because it's going to show a lot about how our democracy is developed and how youth is participating in drawing this beautiful image of democracy. But it's also going to show that this youth listened, and this youth understood, and it's doing what it should do.
Thank you, Emani. That was beautifully put. As we said, Emani, in the beginning of the show, we should talk about the Algerian diaspora, because the High Council of Youth is always trying to include them in their activities, even though they're not here in Algeria, but they still have the right to vote. They still have the right to participate. How do you plan on including them?
Well, as I said earlier, the High Council for Youth already has 16 members who represent the diaspora from all over the world. But we also have a committee, which is the Committee of Cooperation and International Relations, to which I belong, which I presided last year. And this committee has two sides to it, one of which is youth diplomacy and encouraging youth to be present on an international scene. But also the second part of it, which is the most important, is to work with the youth diaspora all over the world. Because I always highlight this: youth feel Algerian wherever they are, because today we live in an era of globalization. We don't feel the boundaries anymore. And you see a lot of nationalism in youth diaspora, because they feel that they need to do something for the country for some reason, and it's something that you see in all of them whenever we go there or hold activities with them or talk to them online, etc. And youth diaspora is actually participates into the national development. It's not just a slogan that we use. They share competences, they share their ideas with Algerian youth residing here. We already started our work when the council was inaugurated in 2020. We worked a lot in 2022. We worked a lot with youth diaspora through skill development programs, linking them with Algerian youth residing in Algeria, etc. Even in the focus groups. But today in the voting process, we already held a lot of programs in order to raise awareness with this youth residing abroad. Again, the problem always relies in how to do, but not why to do, because all of them are aware of what they want to do. A lot of work is being done in France, because a lot of Algerian youth
are there, right?
Resides in France, and that's what we're trying to do. to have this youth register in the electoral list, which they already did. We had a lot of people, more than 1,000 youth in France already registered, and the same thing is mirrored in other countries with rates that differentiate from the people residing in these countries. But again, we always try to work approximately with these youth who are residing abroad. We don't differentiate between the two. I mean, it is true that they're not present in Algeria. We try to include them in our activities also via our partners, because we have a partnership, for example, with La Grande Mosquée de Paris, which bring a lot of youth to Algeria every time we have an event. We always send invitations to embassies to send youth who are very active in their societies. So it's being done in a very transparent way. And we also open links to these youth in order to register in our different events. So.
That's amazing. I think that the High Council of Youth is always trying to include every Algerian young people all around the world. I think I've seen a couple of activities where it was mainly for them and they came to Algeria and they participated. How was that, by the way?
It was great. We had a chance to organize an event for them. It was a tour from Oran until Janet and back. And it was for Algerian competences abroad, meeting Algerian competences in
From
Algeria
here,
in
yes.
4 domains. And it was very beautiful because, again, I always go back to the human connections that these people formed. A lot of them started projects together. A lot of them learned a lot from one another. But also they learned a lot about the Algerian culture. They saw the culture change from Oran to Elisi to Janet and then back, which was very beautiful. It was a very rough and tough travel because it was very accelerated. So it just showed us how they can hold the pressure and how much they love the country. They did not complain for a bit. They did not say, oh, Algeria is this and that, because they
were
felt
just
like
happy to be there.
they were very happy and they felt like they belonged, because you feel relevance to people that come from your own blood, and you relate to them a lot, which was very beautiful. I think it was an amazing experience because now they try to help the council and they try to help the Algerian youth. And as I said, the most beautiful of all was that they formed connections and they started actually working together, especially people who were in cultural domain. They started cultural projects, which is very beautiful to see.
That's amazing. I can't wait to see the outcome of these projects. Emeni, can you talk to us about the strategies or the campaigns that the High Council of Youth has developed to engage more young voters?
I mean, as I said earlier, we already started the Haya Shabab initiative, which was, to my regard, was very effective, and we could talk later on how we could see that it was very effective. We had all of the council members who reside in their different wilayas and their different small states go to youth and raise their awareness on, first of all, why to vote, and second of all, on how to vote. And a lot of youth voters were impressed by the fact that things change. You can now register from home. You can use technology to register in the electoral lists. We also, as I said, started work with this youth way before, because a lot of awareness was done on the importance of participating politically in voting and its impact on our lives as youth. Because if we see the impact that this small gesture of going and voting has on our lives as youth, it's humongous. So a lot of youth understood the message. We also did a lot of campaigns on social media where we shared with youth on the importance. A lot of content creators are very aware of this thing, and out of kindness of heart did this and tried to raise awareness with youth. And this is what I always say, the Higher Council for Youth is not only for its members, it's also for people who sympathize and who feel and who relate to the council, and who already started doing things without said institution telling them to do said thing, which is very beautiful. So
and I think you've successfully managed to rally them around the council. I mean, I've noticed in the campaigns that you've organized for Palestine, for many other things, that these social media creators just came and were there to participate out of the kindness of their hearts, like you said, just because they felt a sense of belonging to the council.
It's true. It's 2 lines under the sense of belonging, and also 2 lines under the fact that the council actually represents them, and it's not an institution that comes out of the blue and dictates things to youth. And it is like that because it comprises of Algerian youth, real Algerian youth that are different, because this is the democracy that happened inside the council itself, because there were a lot of youth who were voted, so they were not just
handpicked.
Handpicked elite. Let's just create a perfect image of how Algerian youth should be. No, the members of the Higher Council for Youth are very different. They come from different states, and this is why a lot of youth feel relevance to the council, because you see the Tirgi, you see the Shawi, you see the university student, you see the person who works, you see the teacher, the doctor, and this is why each individual can relate to one at least individual in the council and to his ideas and the things that they try to push forward. So this is why I think a lot of youth believes in the council, because they feel that they are represented.
That's amazing. As you said right now, you said that the council have started to launch a lot of campaigns, whether it be on social media or through events. How do you measure the success that comes from these events or these campaigns?
I mean, the Higher Council for Youth works a lot on the evaluation of its activities post doing anything. So we work a lot on sending people feedback forms. So if we get the chance, we could send people feedback forms. We could post it online and see how people react to said initiatives. But above all, you can see clearly the voter turnout, and that youth is present, and that a lot of youth registered in the electoral list, and this is something to be proud of. A lot of youth registered actually, and we could see it. I could see it in my family. You could see it in your friends. You could see the impact, directly from people who are telling you that I registered. It was very easy to register. A lot of people were in our events when the electoral lists were open, so a lot of them registered while they were in the events, and we could in the future see how much youth voters were included in the voting lists. So this is.
Thank you for all this information, Amani. I'd like to ask one last question before we end this. I'd like to talk about the council's plan after this electoral phase. What would the council like to see in our youth, especially the ones who are now starting to vote?
I think during the past 2 years, we were working on two main things. The first one was to develop youth's consciousness to related topics, and the second one was to try to voice their opinions. And I think it would be very beautiful, first of all, to see voters go to vote on the elections day, because this is very important. And again, we would like to see youth voice their opinions post-voting, because we live in an Algeria that does not suppress voices anymore. We live in an Algeria that wants to hear youth's voices, and this is what you could do by voicing your voices the day of the votes. And again, we would continue our work with youth. We would ensure sustainability by doing a lot of programs, listening to youth, adjusting our vision accordingly. We always try to do events that correspond to the present of the Algerian youth, and that correspond to the context of what's happening in the world and in Algeria. And always, as we always say, the Higher Council for Youth remains the house for everyone. We always want to hear you. Tell us what you want us to do, and then we will adjust accordingly.
That's amazing. Thank you, Amani. And now, away from the council, but as the Algerian girl, Amani, would you like to address a message to all the youth watching us today to encourage them to go and vote?
I think it does not take a lot of words to raise awareness in the Algerian youth, because the Algerian youth is already very aware, and I know this because I belong. But I think it is time for us as youth to make our voices heard, because it's very important. It shows a lot about how we care about the country. It shows a lot about how we are willing to participate in decision making in the country, and it's a first milestone to continue this development that Algeria is witnessing today.
That's amazing. Beautifully put. Thank you, Amani. So for everyone watching us today and who is interested in participating in future campaigns or activities of the High Council of Youth, you can always check their social media accounts, where you always share before the events, right?
Exactly.
All right. So they can register and participate, and don't forget to vote and voice your opinion. It is, after all, your country. Thank you for watching. See you in another episode.